There is a specific kind of trap that the airline industry has perfected over decades, and it works like this. They change a policy, they bury it in a terms of service update that nobody reads, they send no email, they issue no press release, they make no announcement at the gate, and then they wait for you to show up at the airport operating on information that is no longer accurate and collect the consequences in the form of fees, denied boarding, and missed flights that you had absolutely no way to anticipate because nobody told you the rules had changed. Since January 2026 alone, there have been at least 7 significant policy and system changes across major U.S. airlines and airports that followed exactly this pattern, and here at Airport Wisdom, we are going through every single one of them right now because the senior travelers in our community deserve to know what changed before they discover it standing at a security checkpoint or a gate counter with a flight closing behind them. The first change is the one that is catching the most travelers off guard right now, and it involves a brand identity that millions of Americans built their entire booking strategy around. Southwest Airlines ended its bags fly free policy on January 27th of 2026, and the way this happened is almost as infuriating as the change itself. No press conference, no email to loyal customers, no announcement on social media, a quiet update to a policy page that almost nobody visits between trips, and suddenly, the first checked bag on Southwest costs between $35 and $65 depending on your route and booking timing. For senior travelers who have been automatically choosing Southwest for years specifically because the bag math made it the cheaper option, this change has turned autopilot booking into an expensive mistake. Because when you now run the total cost comparison with the bag fee included, Southwest is sometimes more expensive than the competitors it used to beat on price. Before you book your next Southwest flight out of habit, pull up the total cost with bags included and compare it against 2 other carriers. That 2-minute calculation is now protecting you from a cost assumption that the airline is counting on you not updating. The second change is one that has existed quietly for years but has shifted dramatically in how seriously it is being enforced, and it involves the plastic bag sizer at the gate that most travelers have always assumed was decorative. Gate agents at American, Spirit, and Frontier are now physically pulling carry-ons and testing them in the sizer on a systematic basis, not as an occasional spot check, but as a routine gate procedure with real financial incentive behind it. At Frontier specifically, gate agents receive a $10 commission for every oversized carry-on they send to baggage claim, which explains with perfect clarity why the energy around gate bag checks has intensified so noticeably in 2026. If your bag fails the sizer at the gate, you are paying a spot fee between $25 and $75 with no warning, no appeal, and no time to make a different decision because your flight is boarding. The protection is measuring your bag with an actual tape measure at home before you leave, not by eye, not by whether it fit last time with a tape measure, and if it is borderline, checking it online during booking when the fee is a fraction of the gate price. Most major airports also have sizers available in the departure area before security where you can test your bag before you are committed to anything. The third change is one that is operating silently in over 65 airports across the United States right now, and that the vast majority of travelers are walking through without knowing they have a choice. TSA's Cat-2 facial recognition camera system is scanning passengers at security checkpoints, and most people assume it is simply part of the standard process, like removing shoes, something you just do. It is not. Facial recognition scanning is completely optional at every checkpoint every single time, with 0 penalty for declining and 0 additional screening burden beyond a 30-second manual ID check. What TSA does not say out loud at the checkpoint is that your facial geometry, once scanned and matched to your identity document, is added to a federal biometric database and does not come out. If you want to opt out, tell the agent clearly before you step up, "I am opting out of facial recognition." They will hand-check your ID instead. Your face stays yours. 30 seconds is the entire cost of that decision, and making it consciously rather than by default is something every senior traveler in our community deserves the opportunity to do. The fourth change is one that is hitting travelers directly in the wallet at the security checkpoint itself, and it is a fee that airlines do not mention at booking, that does not appear in your confirmation email, and that you discover for the first time while standing in the security line, possibly running late. Real ID enforcement is now fully active across all U.S. airports, and TSA has launched a program called Confirm ID for travelers who arrive with a non-compliant driver's license. It allows you to verify your identity through alternative means and still board your flight, but it costs $45 per person payable at the checkpoint. For a senior traveler with a spouse or companion, this is $90 extracted from you at the worst possible moment for a problem that has a simple one-time fix. Look at your driver's license right now. If there is a gold star in the upper right corner, you are compliant and this situation will never apply to you. If there is no star, a DMV appointment before your next trip resolves this permanently, because paying $45 at the security checkpoint every time you fly is not an alternative. It is a recurring tax on not knowing. The fifth change affects United Airlines travelers specifically, and it is the kind of policy shift that is designed to be missed. On February 27th of 2026, United quietly updated its domestic check-in policy so that passengers without checked bags must now complete check-in at least 45 minutes before departure, rather than the 30-minute window that had been the standard. One line in the contract of carriage, no announcement to loyalty members, no notification to travelers with upcoming bookings. If you miss that window, your seat can be released even with a confirmed reservation and even with a boarding pass already displayed on your phone, and the traveler who discovers this at the airport rather than before departure has no recourse because the policy change is documented and the airline is not responsible for your not having read it. The airport wisdom rule that protects you from every version of this situation is being checked in and physically present at your gate at least 60 minutes before any domestic departure, not as a conservative suggestion, but as the standard that accounts for rule changes you did not know had happened. The sixth change is one that requires no dramatic story to explain its impact. It is simply math, and the math has quietly gotten worse. Between January and March of 2026, Delta, United, American, and Alaska all raised their checked bag fees, some by $5 and some by $10 per bag each way, with no press releases and no notifications to customers who fly regularly. For a senior traveler taking a round trip with one checked bag, that is up to $20 more than the last time they flew the same route. For a family of 4, it is potentially $160 in additional costs compared to 14 months ago on the exact same itinerary. The habit that protects you is treating the bag fee as dynamic pricing rather than fixed information. Check the airline's current baggage fee page on the day you book, screenshot it, and save it with your confirmation number, because the fee you paid last trip is no longer a reliable prediction of the fee you will pay this trip. The seventh change is the one that matters most when something goes wrong rather than when everything goes right. Delta restructured its lost baggage claims process in early 2026, tightening documentation requirements, extending approval timelines, and shifting the burden of proof more heavily onto the passenger, which means that a traveler whose bag is lost now needs to provide receipts, purchase dates, and item valuations up front or risk having their claim reduced or denied regardless of the legitimacy of the loss. The fix for this is so simple that it takes 60 seconds and protects you completely. Before every trip, open your checked bag and photograph the contents with your phone, not the exterior of the bag, what is inside it, and email that photo to yourself immediately. That email is now timestamped, stored in a cloud-backed account, and constitutes documented photographic evidence of what was in the bag before it left your hands. And it is the kind of evidence that is genuinely difficult for a claims processor to argue against. One photo, one email, every trip, done. Beyond these 7 changes, there are 2 developments that senior travelers planning international trips in 2026 need to understand before they book. The European Union's entry-exit system launched in late 2025 and becomes mandatory for U.S. travelers entering the Schengen zone by April of 2026. This means that every entry and exit from most of Europe now involves a biometric scan at an automated border gate recording your photo and fingerprints digitally, replacing the traditional passport stamp process. And for travelers with connecting flights within Europe, building additional buffer time into arrival to departure windows is essential because first-time registration through the EES system takes longer than the stamping process it replaced. Additionally, Europe's ETIAS travel authorization, the European equivalent of the US ESTA, goes live in late 2026, requiring US travelers to apply and pay approximately €7 online before flying to Europe even for short stays, and failing to complete this before departure means not boarding the flight regardless of passport validity or ticket status. And there is one piece of genuinely good news buried in the policy changes of 2026 that senior travelers deserve to know about. The U.S. Department of Transportation's new automatic refund rules now require airlines to issue refunds without passenger request when flights are canceled or significantly delayed, and to refund fees paid for services including seat upgrades and in-flight Wi-Fi when those services are not delivered. No more 4-hour hold times requesting what is already owed to you. The automation works when the documentation is clean, which means keeping screenshots of delay times, receipts for any ancillary purchases, and records of what you paid for and did not receive, because the right to an automatic refund is only as strong as the evidence that supports the claim behind it. Tell us in the comments which of these 7 changes surprised you most, or share a situation where an airline policy change caught you off guard at the airport and what it cost you, because those first-hand accounts are exactly what prepares the next member of our Airport Wisdom community before they face the same situation. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications because Airport Wisdom publishes new insider travel guidance for senior passengers every single week, and we will see you in the next video, because in 2026, the airlines are counting on you not knowing what changed, and we are counting on making sure you do.